right, everybody ready? Yay. Thank you so much for being here. This is really exciting. This theater is epic, right? So it's such an honor. Golden State Theater donated for this event and is letting me use it for free. They waived the $1,000, which is really cool, and opened the bar and donating proceeds from drinks. So it's all very kind for this work we're doing. I had to write down what I'm saying because I'm nervous. It's all a little last minute, but I wanted to share a little bit about the program and why we do what we do, and then we'll start the movie. Just some housekeeping, as I mentioned, the show itself, created by Humans Being Media, Vince and Aaliyah, married couple, created it, came into prison 4 times, I believe, down to CTF Soledad. And then they came to the ribbon cutting too, which was November 14th of last year. The bar will be open till 1. I was going to open the Transformative Justice Center, which is at 439 Tyler Street. It's right around the corner. For anybody that wants to walk through after this from about 1 to 1:30. And then at 1:30 until 3:30, we're hosting a reception behind Alta Bakery, which is technically, I think it's called Cella. They want us to enter in on that side. If anyone remembers the street name, I'm blanking on it. Starts with a P. Polk. Yes, on Polk Street. There'll be appetizers, small bites, a bar, again, alcohol, non-alcoholic drinks, and we're having a raffle. I got a bunch of cool prizes to give to you guys, so hopefully everyone can make it. All right, so thank you for being here. Many of you, raise your hand if you've been part of Empathy in Action in one way or another. So it's so cool. Yes, you deserve a round of applause. Raise your hand if you're connected with the prison system in one way or another. And all of you deserve a big round of applause. I'm really honored some people from the CRM team at CTF are here that worked so hard to get all the volunteers cleared and make this program happen, so thank you for showing up. My name is Megan McDrew. I am the founder of the Transformative Justice Center, which has been dedicated to be a space for incarcerated voices. It's probably the first in the nation, if not the world, that has a dedicated physical location that honors people in prison. On top of that, I run Empathy in Action. This is a prison-based program where we bring in large groups of people from the public, volunteers, to sit, learn, dialogue, explore, and evolve with the incarcerated population. Before I begin to share a little bit more about that, I wanted to read a poem written by a man at CTF that we just heard last week. His name is Nate, and he gave me permission to share this with you. It's called Survivor. Bad things happen even when they're not deserved. When they do, we call for punishment. Justice must be served. When someone hurts us, we get angry. We really want revenge. When someone goes to prison, we like the message that it sends. But healing doesn't come because someone's in a cage. Healing comes when we start deriving power from that rage. Nothing can change the terrible things that you have been through, but you can change what baggage you choose to carry with you. Coming to terms with my childhood was a major part of my journey. And now, with your permission, I'd like to share some of that story. You might be thinking, who's that guy? He's standing there in blue. And now he wants to talk about all the pain he's been through. I admit my decisions have caused a lot of pain. Hurt people when they're living in their shame. And I can't speak for every single person wearing blue, but please keep in mind, most of us were victims too. First, I had to accept how profoundly I'd been affected. Looking back on my memories, there were dots that I connected. Facing the truth was scary. I'd spent my whole life running. Hiding in alcohol and drugs, I had different ways of numbing. I finally admitted that I needed help. I couldn't do this alone. Some things I figured out, but there's a lot that must be shown. Then I saw what happened to me as a child was not my fault. My self-esteem shouldn't be lowered. If I didn't purge that guilt and shame, it would stop me from moving forward. I found others through Empathy in Action that knew firsthand why I felt what I was feeling, and knowing that I wasn't alone helped me in my healing. Finally, I forgave the one that hurt me. The hate was only hurting me. So now, even sitting in a prison cell, compassion sets me free. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not some great advisor. I'm just telling you what I did to get from victim to survivor. Week 8 of our program, we always do a talent show, so this is one of the pieces that were shared. So I chose this poem because it tells a truth that most of us aren't used to hearing, or perhaps don't like to hear, and that's that most people behind bars were first victims long before they committed a crime. That hurt people, and healing, real healing, doesn't come from cages or isolation or punishment. It comes from remembering what was lost long ago. And that is that we all have an inherent goodness and worth that lives inside each of us. And here's the truth. No matter how hard we try to remember on our own, we need others. We need validation, we need love, we need reflection. A writer, John Joseph Paul, said, "It is an absolute human certainty that no one can know his or her own worth until it has been reflected back to him or her in the mirror of another loving, caring human being. We need each other to return to what was buried beneath years of trauma and fear." I still remember the first time I sat in a circle at San Quentin. This was about 12 years ago. My daughter here, Luna, had just been born. I was incredibly nervous. I'd never been in prison before. I had 2 master's degrees. I did all sorts of research on the nature of good and evil. I studied the social conditions that led to crime, but I still hadn't sat with the people most impacted that I had studied for years. I just knew that the reasons for being in prison were complicated, and that they, like all of us, were capable of change if given the right tools. After volunteering for some time, one man came up to me and said, "I've never had a woman look me in the eye without fear or disgust." That moment cracked something open in me because I realized so many people in prison have never been seen. Not as children, not as once children, not as adults, often not even as human. What I saw were deeply wounded, courageous, insightful, intelligent individuals trying really hard to become better. And I found something surprising. I found joy, I found curiosity, insight, resilience. I often equate this to the metaphor of like a hose that's all crinkled up and the water just trickles out, but once you straighten it, the water flows through freely. So that's what it's like, how I see it in prison. Once we make space for emotions, for thought, for truth, there's a surge of life force that comes out. I call it an untethering of the soul. It reminds me that human beings are astonishingly resilient and capable of so much goodness if we often get out of our own way, and we get the help we need from loving, caring human beings like yourself. So the question I often get asked is, do prisoners deserve to be healed? Do they deserve the tools to become better after what they've done? I think that's the wrong question. I think the question we should ask is, what kind of world do we want to live in? What do we deserve who have managed to stay out of prison? Do we deserve a world rooted in fear and division and apathy and shame? Or do we want to live in a world that's rooted in courage, in care, accountability, and forgiveness? The people in empathy and action are doing the hardest work there is. They're facing themselves, and they're sharing their stories with strangers who over 8 weeks become trusted friends. And the volunteers, all of you out there are just as brave. You go inside in more ways than one. You cross boundaries that society tells us never to cross. And on the other side of that wall that we go into week after week after week, we find real connection. We find change, and ultimately we actually find joy. We're here today to witness that. I say this is more than just a film screening. It's a testimony to what happens when we dare to care. When we look past the bars and the stereotypes and the judgments that we hold, and we choose connection and understanding over fear. This documentary captures something impossible to explain. It shows what happens when volunteers come into prison, not to fix or to save or to take a class or just to check it out, but to sit and to listen and to be. It shows incarcerated individuals dropping their armor and choosing vulnerability. Together they explore what it means to be human and how we can live with less shame, less fear, and more hope. I remember a moment early on, about 3 years ago, when I was inside CTF. A college student nervously shared a story about her father abandoning her at a young age. When she finished, a man with tears coming down his face, who'd been inside for 25 years, said, "Thank you, that was brave. I remember that pain too." In that moment, there were no walls. Just two people meeting each other in their truth. This film captures those kind of moments. Moments that remind us that empathy is not a luxury, it is a necessity. It asks us to be brave, to imagine something more beautiful, and to get close to what we've been taught to fear. Healing doesn't happen only in therapy rooms or in the doctor's office. Sometimes, in this program, it happens inside a prison visiting room, on a folding chair, next to someone you were told to fear, to hate, and maybe to forget that even exists. Mother Teresa once said, "The biggest disease today is not leprosy or tuberculosis, but rather the feeling of being unwanted, uncared for, and deserted by everybody. The only cure for loneliness, despair, and hopelessness is love." So as you watch this film, I invite you to soften your gaze, open your heart, and see not prisoners, not volunteers, but just people. Beautiful, complicated, hurting, healing people that are just like you and just like me. I'd like to thank the residents of CTF Soledad who trusted us, to the students and volunteers who stepped up with so much courage and commitment, to all the people out there who have donated with such faith and trust in me and this work, and to the filmmakers of Humans Being Media who captured the soul of this work with such reverence. So let's take a deep breath and let's go inside. Thank you.
Really is a life-changing experience on how you see and view people in our society that might be struggling. And I'm just really grateful to Megan. I'm grateful for Empathy in Action, and I just would love to continue being in the program and just continue helping the men in there and the men helping me. I am in recovery myself. I have 7 years clean off of heroin and methamphetamines. I could be in their seats. I have also made bad choices, bad decisions, and I've taken a different path and decided to change and break those generational chains that might cause me or my daughter or her kids to be incarcerated, because generational incarceration is in my family. My dad was in prison for 28 years, so I was left to be raised in the system, group homes and foster care, and the system is broken. I am a victim of many things from the system that has let down people like myself and the men in there. And so for me, every time I come, I'm grateful that I'm leaving. And every time I come, I'm grateful that I am healing inside, and I'm forgiving myself for the things and the pain that I've caused my family, and I'm also forgiving the pain that was caused to me from the system. You know, people make these choices, but I realize that we all do have stories, and that they all look different, but it all comes from trauma and hurt and pain. And when they shared, I realized that, you know, they're human like me, and they need a chance, just like I had the opportunity and a chance. I did have a lot of healing. The judge didn't give up on me. He gave me plenty of chances over and over again. And because one person believed in me, I'm where I am, outside the prison, not sitting in there. They're working so hard to rebuild themselves. It's an amazing experience to sit there and hear them trying so hard for people to believe that they're, you know, working so hard on themselves. They just need a little bit more. They need more love. They need more hope. They need more, you know, someone to listen. I want to help. I just want to help. I want to give back. I'm so grateful to be here and to share this experience with everybody. All I could tell you from the bottom of my heart is that this opportunity has been a blessing in disguise for myself. I go home and I kiss my daughter every day because I'm grateful that I put the work in and I gave myself a chance. I just hope that I'm also bringing in so much love and light and hope to the men. I was where they were at one point in my life. People can change and recover as long as they give themselves a chance and opportunity. Life is beautiful, life is good, and it's so worth living.
All right, let's give one more round of applause for that amazing film. I'd like to invite the filmmakers up to the stage, and any volunteers, or if you saw yourself on the big screen, please come join us up here. That means you, Mike, Casey, Marissa, Ray, Samantha. I just want to have everybody come up here that saw themselves. Juju, and I'd like to give you a big round of applause. Come on up. All the way up. This is Aaliyah and Vince Beaton. They created the film from Humans Being Media. Thank you so much for being here. All of our volunteers that have served in prison that you saw on stage, I just wanted to thank them and give them a moment of recognition, because as you saw, it takes a huge amount of courage, commitment, perspective, time, energy, to do this work. So I want to congratulate Casey, Mike, and Ray, who served time that are now with us. Ray was one of the main characters. Mike has recently been out, and Casey has been a huge part of the growth of our center. So
I'm just amazed to be able to be here and see it on the big screen. It's this first public screening today, and it just, when I look around, I see it as a community effort, right? It is about family. This couldn't have got made without everybody collaborating together and being willing and vulnerable to share their life with us. And through this film, we'll be able to share that with others. And that's the beautiful ripple effect that goes out there. And also, one other thing that really struck me today is that it's historic. You know, Mike, I was surprised to find Mike in the foyer today. You know, we'd worked together on this film and a film before, and that it's a moment in time. And I think that phrase in itself is often why people are inside, right? It's a moment in time, and change is possible. It's very beautiful to be a part of this. So thank you, Megan, for having faith in us and trust in us all the way through. She really did give us a huge opportunity to be able to create the film as we were feeling it. Yeah. And this is Aaliyah, my beautiful
I'm shaking with fear, but it was a huge privilege to work on this film.
Thank you.
So we always end our program, which we learned from exercise and empathy. We do what's called Sparks from the Fire, where people come up and share anything particularly insightful or that they just want to speak from their heart that they gathered from the last 2 hours. And so I just want to offer the microphone to any volunteers or people in the film to share, and then we'll let you guys go.
My name is Juju, and I want to thank you for this film. I mean, just watching it, we sit and we break into families in empathy and action, and watching this film was like watching family. All of the brothers who have touched me so much, and I thought it was just beautifully done. So thank you. It was just such a joy to watch. And I think it's important to document, and for those who don't come in, to see what is happening, because it is a true place of healing.
My name is Sauter. Hurt people, heal people, heal people. A society that hurts is going to continue to hurt. We own this. We own everything that happens in the prison, everything that happens outside, all that trauma that these individuals went through. We own that as a society, and we can't just cast it in the shadow. We know that from personal experience, that you can only work through your trauma. So I think my only suggestion is just get involved. I talked about power up there. We're going through some tough times here. That's saying it kindly. It can feel really disempowering. I got my voice and power back the moment I stepped into this program and into prison. And we're leaving so much in the darkness here, so much value, so much lesson, so many beautiful lessons to learn. And we just get caught up in our own rigmarole. So if anything, I hope this inspires you to just get involved. It doesn't have to be this program, although I hope it is, but it could be something more local. Connecting with individuals, connecting with each other is the only way we're going to heal our trauma, not just as individuals, but also as a society.
Hello, my name's Elizabeth, and I teach yoga with Megan at the CTF at the prison. And I've been a teacher for about 40 years, and I've taught Title I kids in Chicago on the West Side. I've taught at Stevenson and Pebble Beach. And I also was teaching a creative writing program for 4 years at Central at CTF. And I kind of wound up, fell into that because I thought that's one group of people I don't know. They're, Paul Fussell, who was an anthropologist at Princeton, called prisoners bottom out of sight. In other words, they don't fit in the social stratum in our society and they're voiceless. And I found when I was teaching the men there, I think my first day there, I was being given a tour by the warden, and we went into one of the wings and there were a group of men showering and the showers are open. And I'm a woman standing there, and I started to go like this and get really uncomfortable. And he said, the warden said, "What's the matter? Like, is the men's nudity offending you?" And I said, "No, I shouldn't. I feel like a voyeur. Like I shouldn't be watching this." And he said, "In prison, you have to find other ways to find privacy. It's not a given." And one of the things that the men kept coming back to in the creative writing class was the idea of redemption, and how they would ever be able to redeem themselves for the crimes that they committed. And that idea of redemption has really just kind of stuck with me, as myself as I age. But also it really started to make me look at those men in a much more human way, as people with a lot of pain, people who've done things that they regret, and which is in sharp contrast to the way society seems to view people who are prisoners. They deserve what they get. They get 3 squares a day. They get to work out. They watch TV. Their lives are fine. And which really flies in the face of my own beliefs. And how do any of us redeem ourselves for the things that we do? And when you look at, as Megan talked about and the men talk about in the video, we all have suffering in common. and, you know, to varying degrees, but some of the things that the stories that the men told in the prison were just, you know, they'll curl your hair, the amount of, and then we, you know, they talk about the tools that they never got because of the addiction that they grew up, because of the abuse that they grew up with. One man talked about the fact that his 14-year-old mother used to beat him with a coat hanger and like the skin would be flying off his body. But then we expect him to grow up to be a productive individual. His father, who was 15, had run away and joined a paramilitary organization. But, you know, so I guess what I'm getting at is like, how do we as a society take responsibility for the way that we fail our own citizens and how poverty fails our citizens? And that's one of the things that just really makes me appreciate, you know, the opportunity to do yoga with these guys.
Thank you very much. I'll pass it on.
I'm Pat, and I've been with the program for 5 sessions now, and I just want to confirm that the film shows the love and the positivity and the meaningfulness of the work. I think it's funny that when we go in and we meet with group and you have to say where you are, 0 to 10, and the guys are all like, I'm a 9. And, you know, some of us are like, oh, I'm a 5. And the irony of that is just unbelievable. And how positive everybody is. Seeing those faces of everybody on the screen really makes me feel the love that I build from having the interactions that we have with people. And at our last meeting on Monday, one of the guys that was in the film, who even when he spoke in the film sounds like a minister, and I've been telling him, I'm like, okay, you're gonna be a minister? Are you a minister? And he came up to me on Monday and he said, you know, there's a guy that's gonna start certifying people as ministers in the prison, and so it's like, Pat spoke it and it will become. So not that, I'm not saying about my power, but the idea that we can see something in people that will make them grow and see it in themselves. And that's part of the most amazing thing about this program is all you have to do is show up to make a difference. And all you have to do is see the good in someone to make a difference. So I encourage you to participate and join us.
Yeah, just to quickly say that this film is its first public screening, and so we're not sure where it's going to be shown next. Possibly film festival submissions so that it can really get out there. We are looking into that right now, and we are also, in the meantime, releasing a YouTube series with Megan, which goes a little bit more deeply into each person's story. So there'll be little 4 to 5 minute mini documentaries which are going to be released, maybe the first one next week, but we're going to release them one every week for 8 weeks. It's mostly Brothers in Blue, but then sometimes we're also featuring some of the volunteers that we managed to get a deeper story with. And the big ultimate goal of this is to also create a feature documentary. This is 35 minutes. A feature documentary is much longer. We want to see what happens next. We want to see how programs like Empathy in Action are taking on the impact of what happens once this shift takes place inside. People are then free. And what happens next? So we're really interested in featuring those vibrant stories that, given the right tools and the right circumstances, your new neighbor are these men and women coming out of incarceration. And it's an important story to tell, so we're really hoping that we can get funding for that documentary to be made and feature. other people that we know and have met through Empathy in Action and Transformative Justice Centre. So that's where we're going. So just keep in touch with Megan. We'll be releasing stuff. Hopefully next week the first episode will go out. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vince. I see a lot of volunteers out there that aren't on stage with us, so that's okay. We'll see you later. So my last call to action is to, if the film moved you, if this work moves you, there's a variety of ways to be involved. Of course, you can join the program. Our next summer program begins August 4th. It's only 6 weeks. We finish on September 15th. We also have a fall program that begins early October. That's 8 weeks. We always go in on Mondays from 4 to 6. We are hoping to expand into CCWF, which is their women's facility in California, as well as Salinas Valley Prison, which is a level 4. So you've learned about the levels in prison. To do that, we need more volunteers. So please spread the word, get people interested, curious about what it's like to go inside prison. If going inside prison doesn't feel right to you, then you can always support us from the outside. Follow us on social media. We, of course, take donations. We're looking for people to sponsor a program launch like CCWF or Salinas Valley. We've been offering yoga through the Veterans Transition Center, but we're hoping to offer the yoga program, we call it Yoga in Action, through the Transformative Justice Center. You can always host a community event or a workshop at the center, which I hope many of you come see after this. And we also offer a program called We Care, which you saw that long line of men talking about some of their life crimes. This is a youth diversion tour that we offer inside Soledad. So if you would like to, we also offer it to adults, but if you'd like a very in-depth tour of the prison that includes a deep conversation with about 15 incarcerated residents, then we offer that through my center too. But thank you so much for coming today. It means a lot that you took time out of, I know it's a very busy weekend with graduations and celebrations and vacations, but it means a lot. This work matters, and we believe everybody matters. So thank you for showing that through showing up, through donating. Just a reminder, we're gonna stay here for probably 10 or 15 more minutes. We'll have our merchandise available. Feel free to take any swag stuff we put out, and then we'll open the doors to the Justice Center if you want to walk through there and just ask questions, get to know us all. And again, thank you to the volunteers, to everybody that supported us over the years, and to Humans Being Media. We love you.